And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lakers Fast Break YouTube channel. I'm your host right now, MagicMan, aka Sean Grice, and I want to welcome everybody into the Lakers Fast Break NBA observations. And tonight we were tentatively scheduled to have a very good person on. It was going to be senior writer Daniel Riccio of Hot Hot Hoops. Unfortunately, because of some scheduling conflicts right now, both Gerald and Daniel are unavailable right now. Hopefully, they'll both be able to make it. This is part of the business that sometimes sucks, right? But you roll with the punches. It happens. I've had to reschedule or move myself around to try and accommodate other people. We want to do that here as well, but we also want to stay professional. So the show must go on. You know, that's essentially one of my favorite Queen songs right now. Shout out to Freddie Mercury, "Gone Not Forgotten." You're the best front man that ever lived, Freddie. But with that, we move on. So I guess I'll be kind of doing a winged approach to a Miami Heat preview. Again, I've sent out the link to everybody. If you could join us, that'd be great. So with that, I did have an opening I wanted to say, and that's you know, when you talk about the Miami Heat, you talk about the Godfather. He starts and ends with the Heat, and that's Mr. Patrick James Riley. And Patrick Riley right now is just waiting to strike on the Damian Lillard situation. That's pretty much what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's fait accompli. I think it's going to eventually come down to Tyler Hero eventually being rerouted to a third team because obviously Portland doesn't want to have anything to do with them for some reason. Even though when you look at the stats head to head, if you looked at them with the naked eye, you wouldn't see a big difference between the kind of production Tyler Hero has produced in the NBA versus Jaylen Brown. You wouldn't be that surprised actually. But with that, it's hello, Joe. How you doing this evening?
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to the Lakers Fast Break, and our guest hasn't shown up yet, so I'm just kind of biding our time here, or figuring out just a way to move on because that's what you do when you're a professional, right?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. How was work today?
Work is work.
All right.
And by the way, if anybody tells you they're always busy, usually they're full of.
Sure. I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
So I'm not. You're not gonna. I try not to say I'm busy because it's a bad word.
It's one of those loaded words when you send it out there.
It's you gotta pay attention to the context. Like, let's say if it involves someone that you probably should have seen, or someone who doesn't show up to a radio show,
mm-hmm.
and they're like, "Well, I got busy," you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically just telling me I'm not important. That important, I should say. But that's just me.
Thanks, Joe.
That's all I got.
Inspiring words as always. But no, we roll with the punches here because I had a great anecdote ready to go, and I'm not going to waste it because somebody decided not to show up, or somebody decided they were too busy for this, even though we scheduled it. You said we were good to go. It is what it is. Joe, do you know where Pat Riley grew up?
I believe he grew up in New York.
It was Schenectady, New York.
And I mean, I knew he was from New York, but I think I can't remember. Did we say this on the show?
So
But
he about 30 years ago, he was doing an interview with Bob Costas, right?
yeah.
And this is when he's slicked back, NYC. He's the man. He was the biggest. He was the biggest name in New York City in the mid '90s. Even bigger than Donald Trump. So he's talking to Costas, and Costas asks him a specific question. He says, "What from your time in Schenectady is with you? Like, like what remains from your time there?" And he says, "It's my taproot." So every everything that Riley is about is from his dad and Schenectady. And that's where the value system comes from. See, Joe, I think oftentimes people try to confuse values and standards. You can't have a standard without a value system. You can have values but no standards. I mean, we see that every day in politics, in business. Those people we call hypocrites. Those are people who say they have values, but the standards are not there. So to me, the set of value system you have in life is the taproot. It starts at the bottom. That's your value system. What you see with the fruit tree is the standard. The standard is the measurement or the efficiency of your value system. I think people often confuse the two. They're not. They don't mean the same thing.
Very well put, Sean. If I had to stick with the Pat Riley subject, you look at footage during the 80s and you see a transformation in Pat Riley. You see a guy at the beginning of the decade who was this pupil, apprentice type guy, right? Whether it was trying to be a color guy with Chick or a valuable asset in terms of an assistant coach. And then as he climbed the ranks, you saw a transformation of I'm the boss. And you can see it in the physical appearance. The physical appearance was not just his hair slicked back, shaving the mustache.
That
And
was all a disguise. That was all a disguise. He was really blue collar, man.
he was blue collar. However, you don't need to be high class to turn into what he turned into. It's just not it's not a requisite. It's just not. You are you the type of guy that's going to, even though you're going to work, let's say throughout the day, if you're going to work throughout the day, I wore a suit for 7 years in the transportation business. I know that game. Every day you put on a suit, boom, boom, boom. Then over time, shifted into a different industry. Now I'm wearing short sleeve hoodies, right? But the attire right now is for functionality. I'm not in an office. I'm in an office to a degree, but I'm an outside guy. So when you're looking at what you're going to do throughout the day, what's going to make things functional, both in physicality and mental. Pat Riley, I'll get to that in a minute, but I want to go back to Pat as I kind of ingrain it into what's going on with us too.
And here's the thing, Joe. He's inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame as a coach. He should be in there as a contributor now. In the 76 years the NBA title has been awarded, he's been involved in 19 finals as a player, a coach, or executive. 25% of the finals. And he's been to a finals as a player, coach, and executive since 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, the 2010s, and just this past into this decade. That's 6 straight decades he's been in an NBA Finals. You need to put this man in the Hall of Fame for being a builder too.
No, he's definitely a big piece of the NBA and what it's supposed to be. The longevity in Miami too should show how great he is, because usually that doesn't last. It usually has a shelf life, and even at that stance, he's been pretty excellent at. But your blue collar to high collar, let's say, world, there's plenty of people that are blue collar that have a sense of style, have a sense of an image in their head of what they want to be. And when you said he put on the mask or whatever it is that he did with the suits and the hair slicked back, what when you look at Pat Riley, and I harp on Gerald about this because Gerald enjoys dressing in, clothes that were from Big Lots, and he likes how the coaches dress now. Sorry, Gerald, I know I'm always kind of harsh on Gerald, but Gerald does.
No. You know what? That's another thing I'm sick of. People calling you harsh. It's direct.
It is. So we're sitting here talking about a league. We're sitting here talking about something you love. And you're like, everybody looks like they just got out of bed. Everyone looks like they haven't shaved. The coaches now wear fleeces. Looking at someone like Tom Thibodeau wearing a fleece is not a good sight. It doesn't help an image. I still say a lot of the reasons why UFC hasn't gotten to a, let's say, boxing level. Dana might slap me in the face for this, but I mean, I know sports. Let's use the 80s and the 90s, since we're talking about the 80s and the 90s primarily with Pat Riley. Probably pretty close to being some of the greatest decades for boxing, right? And UFC, mixed martial arts, I think a lot of the reasons why it's still not at that level where it should be is because of the appearance of the fighters. You didn't see the looks you do now. Everyone has sleeves. Everyone has tattoos on their face. Everyone looks kind of just not kept. You looked at guys like Evander Holyfield, Tyson, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, Thomas Hearns. You used to look at those guys and they would be wearing suits watching those guys fight, let alone going into the ring looking like Adonises and looking good. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but appearance matters. So Pat Riley mastered an appearance that no one had mastered. He mastered it, and it defined a culture. It defined a league. Pat Riley, you look at him even in practice gear. Just look at him in practice gear. He is ripped. His shirt's tucked in. Everything's just, you don't have to wear suits to look good. Back to my attire. I wear Under Armour shorts that can breathe. I have a shirt that I've washed at least God knows how many times, right? Because this is what I wear. This is what allows me to be mobile and also allows me not to look like I just went in the dirt. That's why I wear black. You can still look good being a low income type guy, just a matter of putting some effort into it. And he, as he climbed the ladder, just added to that image. And that's who he is. He was that guy even when he was growing up. And then when he got the seat, he's like, yep, I'm going to show it off now. And of course, he not only showed it off, he executed the number one plan, which is winning. And it just adds more to the Godfather name that he has.
It's well suited. That kind of like his ability to morph. That's kind of what people love about him the most. His leadership styles are different because look at all the different personalities he's won with, and not only that, Joe. His playing style was blue collar. He wasn't a superstar. He had to get minutes fighting, scratching, and clawing out there. And when he got the ball in the stands, he had to be able to shoot. Now he's pretty good at it, Joe. got to 3 finals, 2 with the Lakers, 1 with the Suns. And he likely played in the greatest finals game of all time, right? When the Celtics beat the Suns in triple overtime. He was on that Suns team. So the guy's 9-10 all time in finals as a player, coach, and executive. When he coached the Lakers were really, like you said, that whole Armani hair slick back. Like the Lakers were his alter ego. That wasn't who he was. When he went to New York, that was his team. He built them in his own image. Brutal, big, rugged, physical. And as you've mentioned before, time and time again, it's not just the physicality he preached, it's stamina. You talked about that team that had just about, I think every one of their starters played 80 games that year.
The 92 Knicks.
That's the kind of level of conditioning that's called a standard, right? So we go back to that word. That's what he has. That's what he has. There's a standard. That's why it's always, do you have your steel toe boots and your hard hat ready to go work for him? Because if he signs you or if he drafts you, there's an expectation that you understand what organization and what person your boss is.
I mean, they just look in reminding me about that season. Kiki Vandeweghe, I believe that was his last season in the NBA.
Yes.
He played off the bench 67 games. And then everyone else, the other 8-man rotation that year, only 1 game missed by Mark Jackson. That's it. Everyone else played 82 games. It's the standard of excellence, the want to be there every day. Sinatra said 90% of it is being there. Just like going to the gym. Get to the gym, guys. It's the hardest part of going to the gym is getting there. Once you get there, you're already set. You can start working out. And he set a standard that is just, it's a lost art, unfortunately, at this point. You're not seeing a lot of people kind of veer back and say, I want to look like Pat Riley. Now everyone wants to be comfortable. Now everyone wants to be uniform. You know, I'm looking at kind of society and how it's turning into. Everything's about, we got to be the same. We got to be the same. And it's bull crap. Okay. Even the guys that wore suits on the sideline still had different suits. They weren't wearing all the same suits.
You know, Joe, unfortunately, you know, you're right. You're right. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you're right. It's not unfortunate that you're right because you want to be right. It's unfortunate you're right because that's the way it is. And I think a prime example of that, like the modern man today, Joe, Zion Williamson. So you talk about everybody kind of like looking at, you want the equality of opportunity, yet you also want the equality of the outcome. So you want the opportunity that's presented to you, and you want the outcome. You just don't want to work hard to get it. That's what we've heard through the back channels about what this guy's work ethic is about. He likes playing basketball. Like Zion Williamson and Ben Simmons, they like playing basketball, but they don't love playing basketball, and they don't really view basketball as a profession. It's, I want all the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I just don't want to walk and run to get it.
I don't want to veer off.
Well, we're not veering off.
But let's add some things here. We're still talking about, you're talking about Zion Williamson, so I'm going to compare it to part of broadcasting. At least when I learned from the great John Chalesnik, my mentor, one of the best men I've ever met in my life. Still helps kids get jobs all across the country. STAAtalent.com. Just a great man. He taught us. He said, Joe, you want to obviously know your sports. You want to be able to be prepped to get whatever show you're putting together in the right way, and being able to be adaptable and being able to change quick, just like how our guest didn't show up. Boom, we had to change kind of topics here. You need to be prepared for that a lot of times. But even when you're not prepared, you still sort of need to be prepared in case someone doesn't show up. So with that, you have to also relate things for the audience out there that might enjoy listening to you. Relate it to something they can relate to. Everyone relates, just like I used the gym analogy. Everyone knows what that is. You don't need to be a sports fanatic to understand what that means. Almost every human being knows what that means. So it's easy to connect with your audience that way. The reward for Zion stinking the first few years is giving him more money. The reward for not managing your money correctly in society is, let's take care of their student loans. There's this constant security blanket. And like children don't worry about things because they're children. They're being protected by their parents. They're being protected by a school. They're being protected to get what they need by someone else. What we've done as a society in sports, life, is we have these groups that are entitled, that are blaming the people that are in power for their problems. I'm not saying that those who are in charge don't cause problems, but almost all your problems, and I'll use Zion as an example, is what is your problem? Who is making you go eat all this food and not working out? Who is making you not care about playing 70, 80 games a year when you're supposed to be the next big thing? You're going to go tell me that, the system is set up? No one's telling you to go hang out with people and get into things and they're talking about you in public. Like, people need to grow up.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do this, and Ben Simmons needs to be, see, the thing that bothered me about Ben Simmons is this is a guy who said he has a mental illness. Okay? A mental illness. Yet he is not sick enough to go after a team that he didn't play for a whole year to get his money. That means you're not that sick. That means you're coherent enough to know, hey, I want my money. You want your money for not playing? That's an entitled hypocrite scumbag to me. So, and I'm sorry to say, most people are like that, guys. Most people are like that. They want everything for free. They want everything on their terms. And when they don't get it, they start crying about this. They start crying about that. Now, I haven't heard Zion cry yet, but we've heard Ben Simmons cry about it, right? I want my money even though I didn't play. You know, at this point, and our reward, what's the reward? The reward is the system pays them anyways. The system gives them an extension. Oh, well, we're hoping for that potential. Well, sorry, New Orleans.
You can wish in one hand and hope, and then do something else in the other, and see which gets spilled first. But it's 2023. We can't live on hope anymore, Joe. You were right.
It might be It might be a cyclical thing where things kind of go a certain way, and then all of a sudden things shift. But the reality is, you have to be strong enough to understand, and this is something that I still don't hear on TV when I do watch it. I don't watch it as much as I used to. It's tragic. Right. It's a tragic thing that I don't watch Sports Center and sports like I used to. I used to enjoy it so much.
Sports Center used to draw in at least 25 million people.
Oh, such good programming. You had Keith Olbermann, you had Dan Patrick, you had Stu Scott, Linda Cohn. They'd go into their own like delivery and quips and funny things, and you're just
people had personality. reality. It wasn't.
Yeah, you
It
just
wasn't
had
watching a bunch of Idaho potatoes talk about
Yeah, you
sport.
had guys that they scouted and they tested and they earned those spots. Now you have nothing but message hires or people you don't want to pay. Whatever, whichever one you want to believe. And when you don't hire on talent, you fail. You will fail, you will be miserable, and you will suck. And your message means nothing. We need more people to sit up, stand up, and say that, but they don't because people are afraid of getting shunned down. They're worried about being called things that they're not. No testicular fortitude.
And that's why that's great choice of words because that was running through my head today. We could talk about all these same teams that we talked about in 2019, Joe, when Anthony Davis requested a trade. Now, the funny thing is, in 2019, the NBA didn't release a memo to him or his agent telling them to stop asking for a trade request, nor did the NBA send Paul George and his agent a memo, nor did Kevin Durant receive a memo in the summer of 22 and this past season because he asked to be traded last summer, ladies and gentlemen. The Nets did not comply with his request. I say that only for this reason, Joe. When we're looking at the executives involved in all these decisions, the fact of the matter is that Brad Stevens and Daryl Morey don't have the requisite balls to go toe to toe with Pat Riley. They just don't have the balls. They're not. They're either not going to last or they're going to have to bow out, and he's going to make one of them look like a punk. If everyone just wants to keep going down this road. If I gave you some stats, right, just on the naked eye, right, seven player A and player B, okay, Joe? And you tell me if you see a big difference between either one of them, okay? So, player A, 17.7 points, player B 17.9. Player A 4.9 rebounds, player B 5.2. Player A 3.5 assists, player B 2.2. Player A 0.7 steals per game, player B 1. And then when you go to the playoffs, it's a little different. One player's averaging 17 and a half, the other's averaging 14 and a half. The other one's shooting 37% from three, that's player B, and the player A is shooting 33%. Now, on the naked eye, do you see a big difference between those two players? Okay, so player A is Tyler Hero, player B is Jaylen Brown. When you Google both of these players, it's interesting. The word underrated comes up a lot for Jaylen Brown. I don't understand how you can call somebody underrated who can't go left offensively. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? And then the other player is called overrated. See, Joe, like this narrative, this BS that's going around with the Blazers, we've talked about this before. Life's about choices. They decided to make the choice to keep McCollum and Lillard around longer than they should have. They peaked in 2018. They won a first round matchup against a Thunder team that was coming apart at the threads, and of course we remember Dame's big photo from that one. The I'm not impressed. Then they beat a Denver team that's not fully cooked in 7 games. And by the way, Dame Lillard didn't play in Game 7. They had to have C.J. McCollum pull that out of their ass for them. And then they got swept by the Warriors. And what was interesting about that series, Joe, is that's at that time, that's when the Blazers really should have sat down and made some hard decisions, but they didn't. They lost all 4 games to the Warriors, and they were leading by 10 or more points in all 4 games, Joe, in the fourth quarter. So they peaked. And now they've decided that they're not satisfied with what's being offered, so they're just going to sit on their tuffet and wait it out. Well, you know something? This is their own making, you know, and the fact of the matter is that Cronin and the Blazers are not going to get away with the same bullshit that David Griffin and the Pelicans got away with by trying to fleece us. That's not going to happen this time.
I think the system setup is starting to hit its wall. The fact that you're paying these guys money that's not even comprehensible at this point. They're paying one guy $60 million. The only guys, in my view, that should be paid $60 million are guys like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant in their primes, because those are franchise shifters. That there is no, I know it doesn't work like that, but there needs, I think it would have been better for the NBA to, and it's funny you're bringing this up, because I was thinking about this before we came onto the show, about how you've seen what's going on with the NFL and the running back situation, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there laughing to myself going, you dumb, where the hell was this in the CBA or the rule changes? Where are you when these questions are being asked? You're not answering them. You're letting Roger Goodell answer it and the competition committee. Why are you complaining after the fact? You didn't see the NFL rules go quarterback for the last 10 to 12 years? You didn't think this was going to be a problem? Now you're worried about not being able to make the money you want to make? You keep telling us that there's value in the running back? No, there is no value in today's NFL for a $20 million running back. It's over. You guys are the same as a middle linebacker. Middle linebackers used to mean something. We had Ray Lewis, Sam Huff, Ray Nitschke, Dick Butkus, all those guys, right? In the history of football. And the middle linebacker is supposed to be the epitome of what football is about, in the pit, getting in there, fighting off the offensive lineman to get to the running back and get to the quarterback. I'm sorry, guys. You voted it out, or you did nothing to do it. So these guys now, let's say Dame Lillard. If I'm sitting with Dame Lillard and I'm going, Dame, now you want to trade? Why did you accept that contract? Who's going to trade an entire team for you? It's common sense. Miami is not going to trade Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and half the freaking draft for the next 50 years for one guy. It's not. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. The numbers don't compute. It's just we've been discussing choices. No one cares about. You can live in the moment, but you also have to understand the trend. What happens? Understand what's happening. You're telling me running backs. Let's give them a break here. You didn't see this 5 years ago that it was happening. So now,
all right, Joe.
We are now, and I'll finish it off with this. We are now getting to that point with these contracts being a problem in trades. It's starting. It's going to start. The amount of the enormity of these contracts is going to make trading players impossible, and they've gotten what they wanted if that's what they wanted, and that was something no one expected. No one expected it. They're like, oh no, wait, oh shoot. But we still want our money. Okay, well, sit and spin then.
Yes. Well said. And as Joe answers some questions from the audience, I believe Through the Wire asked you who are your top three quarterbacks.
I'm gonna answer.
But I'll get to a question we had from Sky Dweller. Sky asked us, guys, why didn't it work out with Pat Riley and the Lakers? Why did he leave? Well, he had run. Go ahead, Joe. I
want to answer Problem Child's question. He was the first one to ask the question. When you have family and friends who don't listen to good advice, if you are the patriarch of that family or that crew. So in my circles, I am kind of the leader, right? Because all my friends, God bless them, they're great. I have 35-year relationships with people, 25, 20. I've got friends 20 deep, but most of them are under someone else's thumb. Very few actually run their life. Case in point, today I was trying to book tickets to the Dodger Padre game. I called like 10 people. They wanted to come with me. I even offered to pay. Oh, I don't know. I got to watch my kid. Or I got to do this. I got to do that. Now, see, the funny thing about the whole kid thing and wife thing and family thing, I got a family too, mother. You know what? Okay. Where the hell are your, what do you do all day? Like, what's going on?
Where are your French toast balls?
Yeah. So running a company, doing business, having a family, having a house, having all this. And all of a sudden, why am I still open to stuff? It's not about money. That the tickets didn't cost that much, right? So it's if no one listens to you, problem child, when you're giving them good advice and you're good at executing whatever it is that you do, you sit there and you just kind of quietly pierce them with it. That's it. And if they're unreasonable, let's say if your wife is inconsiderate and things get worse, I don't know what to tell you about that. Coming from the last 9 months where I had 3 of my friends file for, or their wives file for divorce, I don't know that world, but it's been happening. So be careful.
Well, it's been happening too much, unfortunately, and that's a topic for another day. As we move along here, Sky was asking why things didn't work out with Pat Riley. You know, Sky, if you read his autobiography, which I would recommend, he wrote a great autobiography. He wrote that after that first championship that they won, when they came back in '81, he noticed that everybody had what he called a disease of me. And he basically said that guys were pressuring him and Paul Westhead for more minutes, more touches, more shots, more opportunities. And Pat said that at the end of his time, like that '89 summer, he's like, you know, he sat down with Magic Johnson and called him Buck. That's what he called me. He always called he didn't call him Irvin. He didn't call him Magic. It was always Buck. He said, Buck, the guys aren't listening to me anymore. He knew he had lost the room. Like Joe had mentioned it earlier. Oftentimes, even with great coaches, there comes a point in time where you just lose the room, and everybody basically tunes you out. And that happened. He had to leave. Unfortunately, that's the way it goes in relationships. Like, you want to be cooperative, you want a relationship to work, but that cooperation takes compromise. And as Joe was saying, he's the CEO of his family. He is the CEO, and it's obvious that we need men like that around, because that's the way a family should be run. It should be run by a CEO at the top.
The unfortunate part about men in power is sometimes it does get to the ego part. That's bad. And that's what everyone gets fixated on. And like most issues that create groups that are against some kind of abuse or whatever, they don't stop at those who are actually the abusers. They start going into everyone's stuff. Everyone gets judged the same way. And that's something that I've discussed with you gotta follow through too. You know, if you're gonna give good advice and you're going to do what you need to do, and someone will always find a fault, you know, that people project all the time. That's another thing that kind of tricks people too. You can't allow projection to affect you either. People will look at you and go, well, you did this and you did that. And I'm like, what's that in comparison to what you did? I'm talking about you passing out from dope. I got a ticket driving to LA. Like, how's that even the same? So the key is you got to also back up your talk. You got to be able to execute what your life is. And in our world, when you're not a bum, you're not arrested, you're not a doper, you're not falling over places because of whatever, or you got a house, you got a business, whatever it is, whatever's supposed to be society's kind of medals. Those things usually will help you if you're going to be the one to kind of give advice or show something up to someone. At the end of the day, I always say my kids are going to be my validation. Kids, your children. Now, if you don't have children, that's okay too. I have friends who don't have kids and will never have kids. And that part is also something to be commended. They know they don't want kids, that they can't handle that. And that should be praised up the same way. But validation will come down to your family and your friends when you're gone.
Not the comment section, and not what society wants or thinks that you need to hear.
Society is Zion Williamson. We're going to go full circle here. Society wants to be doing the right thing and this, and let's do this, but they don't want to put the work in. They still want someone to give it to them.
That's right, Joe. That's right.
It doesn't work that way, guys.
No.
In the world,
no.
It doesn't work like that. But we do it though. With the system, or whatever you want to call it, keeps enabling that. Why? Because of control. It comes down to control. And it's a discussion that what we could talk about literally every day. I mean, someone mentioned Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil made a career sitting a bunch of yahoos on a chair in front of everybody. And what has that done in 30 years? Nothing. Nothing these guys do. Not Jordan Peterson, not Ann Coulter, not Bill Maher, not Joe Rogan, not everyone. And I don't hate on any of these people. I don't know them. I don't care. But nothing these guys do fixes jack squat. They're there making millions of dollars doing that, and it has solved nothing. That's why I'm very adamant about never, ever being a TED Talk type in the future, because it won't mean anything. Well, Joe, what if you help that one guy? It's not enough. I'll help one guy here in my family, my friends. I'll build it organically within my group. God willing, I can continue to bring in more resources so that I can make people, have careers and things like that. That's the goal right now. Like I'm done, guys. I could live the way I'm living right now for the rest of my life and be fine. But that's not how it's supposed to be, guys. It's supposed to better society. So you do it two ways. One, by raising children that are going to be better than you. Okay, better as in they're going to be more knowledge. They're going to have more education, right? Because we have more means when you have a household that's already kind of put something like that together. And then, of course, if you have a business or any kind of entity like that, where you can allow people to have a career and have medical insurance and have a pay that where they can go vacations and live a good life. That's all that's next. That's now serving society, right? You take care of your house. Once you take care of your house, that's it. You take care of your neighbors. I got two of the baddest neighbors on the planet, right? I got neighbors even next to them that are cool. You take care of your neighborhood. You spray the weeds on the street. Don't wait for the freaking county to do it. Just do it. Then the town. And you keep going. And we've lost that. And unfortunately,
you've mentioned that before. Like it's like small things, but you've mentioned that before. When tasks around the house, I changed the batteries in the smoke detector, taking out the garbage, stuff that men should do. That's what the person running a household should do. It's not complicated, Joe. It's not complicated.
It's not. And I saw a video yesterday of a man breastfeeding a baby. And you guys wonder why I'm hot. And I've had talks with people in my time where I've had to tell them that you know nothing. And these people think they know everything, right? So you're sitting there, you're going, you know nothing. And they really think they know stuff. And they think you're nuts. But the thing is, I'm fortunate in that the action works. I can handle the action. It doesn't matter, negative, positive. It just doesn't matter. And talking about the show in general, I had been asked why I hadn't done a show way before. Like, why don't you do a podcast, Joe? You know so much about sports. Heck, I've been approached to do money lines and do betting because I know so much about sports. I'm like, guys, it's not about that. If it was just about the betting and having fun, it's a dirty area. It's a dirty area. I don't like dirty. I don't like dirty.
You've mentioned that.
Okay, I don't. And I know I'm not clean everywhere you go. It's impossible, right? I still own a phone that's made from China. Do I know that there was a poor 11-year-old that made this? I don't know. So in some indirect way, I'm probably there still. But at least if I have a chance to directly have a choice, let me do it. And then someone as nice as Gerald is one of the nicest men you can meet. And the fact that he's put up with someone who's the way I am only adds to the fact that he's a good person and understands it. And that needs to be rewarded, right? And now I feel that there's a collaboration here. I like team sports. I'm not much of I love tennis. I love to play golf, but I've always flourished in a team setting. I don't like just sitting here talking and as big of an ego as I have, I actually think it's a little too vain for this one guy. Hey, all right, this is me. Hey, this is what I think. Who gives a crap what you think? Give us information that's relevant. And if you can do it in an entertaining way, then that adds to the show, right?
Of course it does. But that's the whole point here, is that we're not just trying to be entertaining. We're trying to be informative as well. This is what our audience expects. Expect a good show, a solid show every time they come out here. We got to deliver it for them. So as we're moving on, Joe, we're going to be talking about what you see from the Miami Heat this year. So if we look at the off season, there's a lot of subtractions and very few additions. They added Kevin Love. They added the kid from UCLA, Jaquez, and now they're looking to add Damian Lillard. So when that transaction takes place, where do you see Miami in the tier of the Eastern Conference, Joe?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're a year older. Butler's a year older. Hero obviously is, I know he's been touted as an overrated player, but I wouldn't say he's overrated. He's just getting paid too much for what he does. Duncan Robinson, I can see them contending just because they have a culture there that just allows them to continue to play a certain way where it's embedded in winning. But when you run into the juggernauts, you quickly see how they fall apart. And in the 2 years that they went to the finals, I know that Jimmy Butler played his butt off in 2020, but that's what it took for them to win just 2 games. It felt like they won more based off how they played. But in reality, looking at the 2020 series, the Lakers had outmatched them, especially Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis reminded me of Shaq those first 2 games against New Jersey in 2002. It was just, you guys have no shot at beating the Lakers in the finals. And then they played a Jokic who just couldn't wait to get home and pretty much slaughtered you just because he's like, I need to get home. I'm ending these guys now. And that's exactly what they did. They shouldn't have even won 1 game. It should have been a sweep. So they're going to contend in the East. The East, I'm sorry to say, you've heard me say it already, they are a terrible conference, and they continue to be terrible. And I'm done with it. I was trying to give them a little bit of a boost the last few years, but they're an embarrassment. They still are an embarrassment. The West is still king. They've been kings for a very long time. And show me something here at this point. I don't see any dominance coming out of the East, and that's it.
Well, yeah, that's, you know what, Intel, that's a good point. The thing about it, though, is that we all have to remember is that and again, um, can't live in a delusional world is that just like a lot of high value people, and I'll use people, and I'll just use an example like like a pretty girl at the party that everybody wants to take home at that night. Well, that pretty girl has her own preferences, and Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, uh, soon to be probably Trey Young, Zion Williamson. They're the pretty girl, and they have preferences. And sometimes the pretty girl wants to go to LA. Sometimes she wants to go to Miami. Sometimes they want to go to New York, but they want to go somewhere, and it's not where you are. And ultimately, I think what's going to happen is that memo was a smoke signal that this is going to stop because guys now, and again, it's just my theory, but I think this is going to happen, is that sooner or later players are just going to give their reps a list of teams. Don't trade me here. Just don't trade me to these teams. And that's the way it's going to work because moving forward, you can't have a business where a lot of your employees are just choosing and picking where they want to make their hay, right, Joe? I mean, that's it's you can't have the unfortunately you can't have the inmates running the asylum.
See, that's the problem. In life, it's always one or the other. So if you don't let the inmates run the asylum, then the wardens and the security guards are running everything. There's a balance that needs to be there, and it needs to be compromise between both sides, which compromise, as you've seen in the last few years, has been virtually impossible because everyone wants, they don't want to compromise. No one wants to compromise. Someone goes way overboard to the point where they taint any chance at coming back in the middle. And if you don't compromise, you will always have division. Now, what's compromise? Compromising is don't get in my business. This is America, guys. This is not Russia. This is not Cuba. This is America. The reason why, in my opinion, we're number one is because of that reason. Because we have the choice. And there's big players out there that might put a monkey wrench in it every now and then, but really at the end of the day, you still have a choice here. And you can choose to be what you want here at the very least. I used to hear that from my dad all the time. And my dad had the right perspective. He came from a different country. Those who have lived here their whole life don't understand the difference. I don't really pay attention to them. You have no idea how lucky you are. People are dying at the border down here in San Diego and Mexico, just trying to get here. And yet I'm seeing people, hearing about what we did 10 years ago, 100 years ago. This isn't a country problem, folks. It's a human being problem. It's always been a human being problem, but we have to tie it to something so that our agenda is pushed. When the quickest way that I end arguments in that world is I say, I know what time it is. You can sit there, you can dance, you can yell, scream, cry. I already know what time it is. I don't need to be told anymore. I'm 45 years old. I've seen it. So as far as how this pertains to sports, if you're looking at Zion Williamson, like in terms of the person we talked to at the beginning of the show, and then of course Dame Lillard in Miami, these are guys that now, especially with Damian Lillard, it's hard to criticize Damian Lillard. He tried to be loyal.
So he's the longest tenured superstar at one team. Him and Westbrook, they each played 11 seasons. If Damian Lillard starts out the season with the Trailblazers, he would be the longest tenured player to ask for a trade. Now, again, doesn't mean dick, but like Joe said, he's been the most loyal superstar that the NBA's seen in a long time, and he basically, and Joe's right. Uh,
What's up?
hey, how you doing?
I'm okay. Did Joe scare your guest away?
No, I think he was getting a little punk, getting a
Huh?
little. I think he just punked out, Joe.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a shame.
it is, but that's what happens when Daniel enters the Lakers den. So
Well, but that's our goals to get NBA teams for previews for all the NBA teams. So we will go ahead and do our best to get somebody from Miami. I know I've got one for you guys on Friday, as our good friend Steven from the Birds Rights podcast. He's coming back to talk 76ers. So absolutely, that's going to be on Friday. So, and I've got hopefully get Matt Modano, who actually been on this show years
mhm.
ago. He's going to stop by because he's in the Believe and Wizards podcast. He hosts that one. And he's has a great line with Wizards. I think I forget which. I don't know if it's Gilbert Arenas or not that he works with, but yeah, he's trying to schedule something with him next week. So yeah, we'll be trying to get all 30 teams. So if your guy doesn't get going with Miami here, we'll go ahead and get a Miami expert to come in here and talk the Heat. So what have you guys been talking about? Because I have to go ahead now and just change all the descriptions and pictures
Yes,
here for
yes,
this
yes.
video.
It's basically been what would you call it? Like a potluck, Gerald. Just call it
Okay.
the NBA observation
Okay.
potluck. That's kind of what it's been like. We were just trying to discuss what the season might look for the Heat between ourselves. So, what are your observations, Gerald? I mean, obviously, look tomorrow. The reason why I wanted this guy on is obviously wanted to chop it up about what's going on with the Heat, but
Mhm.
tomorrow is an anniversary of sorts for the Heat because do you remember in the summer of '05 a big trade was made, Gerald, and the Heat got Antoine Walker, Jason Williams, and James Posey.
Mhm.
And if they hadn't acquired those three players, they wouldn't have won that title.
Well, first off, I want to tell everybody I was actually interviewing Jamie Sweet. These guys changed the time. So I was interviewing Jamie Sweet for the Pop Culture Cosmos. So go ahead and check that out on our YouTube page there because he's looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3 coming out this weekend. So that's why I was there. And you're saying that in that Joe turned on me, but I stood
No,
up for you. Great job, Serge. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But that doesn't surprise me coming from Joe. But when it comes from the Miami Heat, I mean, obviously everybody's looking at trying to see if they can get Damian Lillard on their team. Supposedly a package is being formulated that Portland can't resist, but we'll see what happens, my friend. Even if that's the case, I don't think it's good enough to be putting them over the top.
yeah, I don't think so either, Gerald. But we did mention briefly that when AD, Paul George, and Kevin Durant twice asked for a trade request, the NBA never issued a memo, man. They never issued a memo to any one of those players or their agents. It's just really interesting now that they just decide to.
That's
Uh,
because that's simply because the agent himself was calling the other teams
well, I mean, do
and
we not?
telling him not to trade
We're
for him.
well, we're not naive enough to think that Rich Paul wasn't on the phone with the Knicks and with Danny Ainge and said, ah,
Oh.
ah.
There's more
You can trade
diplomatic
for him.
ways.
You can trade for him, but he's not. Remember, but Gerald, you'll remember Anthony Davis Sr. said, "There's no way my son is going to sign with the Boston Celtics," and he did it publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And the NBA didn't find the Lakers, and they didn't find Clutch Sports. They didn't even find Anthony Davis for that. So like I said, I just think this is a double standard. The pretty girl has a preference about who she wants to go home with, and everybody's got a problem with it. But everybody's got their preferences, and you just have to deal with it.
It's funny. We talked about the other day that we were going to go ahead and talk about Laker Tom and those crazy things that he's doing online and talking about it and what he's proposing. So,
Mm-hmm.
Joe, His latest thing he's talked about. He recently tweeted about a Lake Show Life article on a rumor as far as lineup. He's talking about that it's going to be a disaster waiting to happen, according to fan-cited Lake Show Life. So let me hear you this as far as Jaxson Hayes. Is Jaxson Hayes goes in the starting lineup, Joe? Is that a disaster?
Yes. No, he's not starting. He'll start if half the freaking team is injured, yeah, but that is a terrible and that absolute terrible decision if that's how it goes, which is not. It's not going to happen. Jaxson Hayes is not. Well, you guys will see. I'll leave it at that.
Again, Jaxson Hayes. I don't expect much from Jaxson Hayes. I
No.
don't think anybody else should either. So
No,
He's like Arby's. He's like Gerald said. Don't expect much.
yeah.
But
It's where there's an Arby's and an In-N-Out in my neighborhood. Arby's parking lot is always open to park, so I park there, then I go to In-N-Out. It's funny. I'm sitting there. I
would too.
There's two lines, right? Because In-N-Out really masters the drive-through, barrage. So you have maybe 15 to 20 cars in each lane to get in to go to the drive-through. One day I came in and I'm going, and I'm looking at the parking lot. It's full, and there wasn't a lot of parking spots anyways. And I'm sitting there and looking at this 2-lane area. And then I go and I look inside, and I'm like, I bet you there's like 2 people in there that are ordering from there. So I turn right. There's like 18 spots at Arby's, and no one is going to the drive-through. I get in, get out, get over there. I order my meal. I have my meal within like 8 minutes. And I'm walking out, and I still see the one car that hasn't ordered yet that I saw when I went in. I'm like, what are these idiots? Like, am I the only one like figuring this out?
I think sooner or later, In-N-Out's going to buy the Arby's and just turn it into a
man, that would be
parking lot.
good. Actually, you'd have 2 stores just handling business. But yeah, and In-N-Out has a huge reputation out here. I know you don't know that, Sean, being up in Toronto. It's not the greatest hamburger of all time, but it's the best hamburger for the price and the service.
there you go. I'll give him that on that. I'll agree with him on that.
Yeah.
Question.
They have never
best bang for your buck. Then is that what you're saying, Joe?
If
bang for your buck,
100%. And the thing is, this is the
Because
amazing
I like
part.
Carl's Jr. better than In-N-Out, but like you said,
I love the
it's more
Charbroil
expensive.
Chicken Club more than I like the hamburger. Absolutely. But the thing is with In-N-Out, and this, if you don't believe service matters, freshness matters,
yeah, it does.
clean matters. There's been at least 300 trips. I'm just throwing it out there for sure. At least 300 trips to In-N-Out. There hasn't been one botched order in those times. Not once. And not once were they not nice, respectful, everything. Like they got it. They got the whole damn system down.
So I ask you this, guys, real quick. The only real thing of note in regards to the NBA was Justin Champagnie, who actually played pretty good in the game against the Lakers during Summer League. He was waived today with still years on his contract. Now, mind you, it's not going to be a big money contract, but in fact, it's under $2 million. It's still just kind of curious that they would want to go ahead and waive someone like that, because he looked like he was going to be someone that might have some promise. He looked good in Summer League. Your thoughts on that, guys? I mean, again, it's someone who doesn't even have $1 million signed up for this year, so it's not a big money hit for the Boston Celtics. But kind of curious that they would let a player like that go at this time of the season. He hasn't even gone to camp with them yet.
No, there's probably something going on there, Gerald, that we don't know about.
He played well in that game against the Lakers. Yeah,
he did play well. He's got a good track record as well. I think there's more to it than what's being initially reported, because this one's kind of a melon scratcher. It's like, what, you're just letting a really productive young player on a really nice transactional contract just go. I don't understand it either, Gerald.
And you had his bird rights because he
Yeah.
could have been a restricted free agent, but you decided to go ahead and say, okay. See, that just seems very curious. I mean, Joe, I understand it's a little thing, but sometimes those little things mean difference. I mean, we talked about Max Christie because for a long time I've been talking about Max Christie and the potential that you have to go ahead and spend a lot of money on him this season if he blows up. But when it came out that the logistics of it was that you signed Lonnie Walker, because you signed Lonnie Walker at the time, you were excluded from being able to give Max Christie a larger contract. That you're seeing these things as far as being maybe little mistakes that might cost you a little bit down the road. But Boston, again, is it because the fact that they signed Jaylen Brown to such a large contract and maybe you're starting to feel the effects of it going forward?
That and the fact that they're going to be paying Jason Tatum that same amount soon enough.
Yeah.
We lost Alex Caruso because of that. It's a bummer. It's that's why there's a structure in these contracts and these CBAs that say we can't afford to have the Ballmers of the world who have all the money in the world pay 6 guys $30 to $40 million a year. That's what they're trying to avoid. Mm-hmm. But they can't do it, and this goes back to our whole subject tonight between Sean and I is no one. They set these CBAs because the word is that the owners can't be trusted to not do that. They can't be trusted to work coherently together, and instead of you have to have this rule that tells you no, you can't do that. No, they want to drop $60 million to Bradley Beal, which is just stupid. It's just stupid. Nothing can stop it. Oh, we don't want to lose him, Joe. He's the only player we have that could sell tickets. I'm like, people are coming to watch Bradley Beal in Washington. I've seen the stands. No one's watching them. So it's just it's a cluster. You know what? I don't know what you could do to solve it other than getting all the owners together and just having some kind of a Cosa Nostra pact that you're going to set rules behind the scenes to say, look, we're not spending this much money on anyone other than true superstars like LeBron James in his prime, Kevin Durant in his prime, and Steph Curry in his prime, those kind of guys. There's only 3, maybe, guys that warrant that kind of money. I'm not saying Damian Lillard or anybody shouldn't get what they should get, but looking at it from who's actually going to keep you in contention year in and year out, sell tickets, and be about the game? And you have to do everything. You have to be everything. That's who gets that money. But there's not a lot of guys. I mean, you had what? You had Wilt and Russell in the 60s. You had Kareem in the 70s. With Dr. J bouncing between the ABA and NBA. Then you had the 80s and Bird and Magic. Then you had Jordan in the 90s. Then you had Shaq, Kobe, and Duncan in the 2000s. Steph Curry, LeBron, and Durant in the 2010s. Really, those are the guys to me that should be making that money. Not Dame, as great as he is. He's not those guys as good as he is. He's not. Those guys are different. They're another level up.
Again, I just think that the CBA is not as well thought out as I had hoped. Simple as that. I just think that they could have thought this out better.
They didn't want it. No, they want their money. And before you got here, we were talking about these running backs who are complaining about their money and how you guys. Why didn't you say something then?
It's a different game now.
Exactly. Say something before. Not, oh, no. Let's make sure we get this. We don't want to lose that weekly pay. Dude, if you don't want to lose that weekly pay, you're losing it now. You should have talked about, you didn't see this becoming a arena football league? I'm some schmo at home who never played in the NFL, and I knew this. You should have known this. Why aren't you arguing about, hey, man, hey, wait a minute, the CBA, guys, this is becoming way too quarterback friendly. That means we're going to be obsolete. No, we wait until it's too late, then we complain, and then we go there and pick it outside Warner Brothers or whatever. Come on, give me a break, man. Know your crap. Get out of your ass. You guys think you're professionals. You're not. You're complainers when it's too late. Too late. You protected the quarterback. Everything is about passing now. You don't need a $20 million running back. You are wasting money with these rules.
How many times in the past, let's say 5 years, just say 5 years, has a 7th, 6th, 5th round or an undrafted running back do production wise what the levels of some of these superstars were doing before?
The best running backs are the rookie, second year, and third year running backs that were picked in the mid rounds.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, perfect example. When did he start stinking? When he started making $20 million a year. Every time he got more money, he put more earrings in his face. Next thing you know, he's getting in trouble, outside the field. This discussion of fairness.
But that's the story of the NFL, though. That's why it's one of the most glorious sports, because it's also one of the most meritorious of them all. It doesn't. I remember Mel Kiper said that when he went to Cowboys camp in 1997, a lineman walked up to him and basically said, "Hey, Kiper, you had me going in the 5th round, da 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 da," and he ended up going in the 4th round or whatever. And Kuiper said, "Well, you know something, man? They don't put what round you were drafted on your uniform, do they? So use that as motivation. Nobody cares where you were drafted when you get on the field and start playing. It's how well you play."
Who should say that is Tom Brady. He should say, "I'm a supplemental draft pick, let alone just a draft pick." He's the greatest supplemental draft pick that will ever live in the history of the NFL, right? In the NFL, just like when you go into the Hall of Fame, no one sits there and says, "Wait a minute, did you go in your 3rd year of eligibility?"
Like when Gerald's talking about the late rounders and undrafted guys, he's talking about guys like Terrell Davis and Arian Foster. Those are two really good stories of guys who
But the running back position was valued then. Terrell Davis was needed to win those 2 Super Bowls in 97 and 98. John Elway doesn't have Super Bowls if it wasn't for Terrell Davis. Now, you don't need a running back anymore because of the rules. The rules and the advancement in quarterbacks and the advancement of offense, analytics, all that say you are better off playing with a star running back who is overly protected. And that's how you win Super Bowls. That's what it is. And they're not, the MVP should just be quarterback is 95% of the time going to win the MVP. Might as well. They're the number 1 player in all of football because that's what drives the money, right? That's the A-list player. But my thing is, in going back to even the NBA, is you guys are asking about more money. Dame Lillard, if I'm sitting with Dame Lillard, I respect your loyalty. I understand why you want to go to Miami. I get it. But where were you? You just signed a new agreement with no argument, with no finding out what's going on. No, you got your $60 million, but now you want to go where you want to go. That's stupid. That is stupid. It's $60 million. Your contract will pay you $60 million at some point. How the hell are they supposed to trade that kind of money down the road? Doesn't make any sense. You're going to have to trade star for star at some point or gut your team.
That's an excellent point.
It's over, guys. It's over. This is what's going to stop trades if these guys keep getting paid this money. And it's we were talking about this, Gerald, before you came on, this tiptoeing and not being argumentative or at least not being argumentative in the things that matter. where it's easy to be argumentative for, oh, the big guys they're holding us down. They're holding us down. And I'm sitting there watching this guy going, or just like when you hear a player, hey, man, nobody believed in me. Nobody did this. Nobody did that, right? Lamar Jackson, since we're talking football a little bit. Lamar Jackson, that's my favorite nobody believed in me, chip on my shoulder guy, right? I'm looking at a guy who won the Heisman, who was a first-round pick, who won the MVP, who's a starter in Baltimore, and yet this guy has the gall to say nobody believes in him. That's how deluded we are in our brains, and we're brainwashed as an audience. We're brainwashed in that stuff. What are you talking about? No one believed in you. You're a Heisman Trophy MVP. How many Heisman Trophy winners have won the NFL MVP? I bet you there's like 5. That's a stat I need to go find out because usually I'm good at those things. What do you mean nobody believed in you? What are you talking about? Why? You can't throw past 15 yards on a seam route. What do you want us to do? I've been watching his games for 5 years now. Oh, nobody believed in me. I'm like, believe in you. Pass. Give me a freaking 15-yard out on the dot. That's what it takes to be in the NFL. And on top of that, you had people criticizing Patrick Mahomes last year because Ty Hill left. I'm going, what drugs are you people on? Patrick Mahomes is the most physically gifted, mentally and physical quarterback I have ever seen in my life. It's like they put Dan Marino and Brett Favre into one player. Imagine that. This guy, if he retired today, August 1 of 2023, he would go in the Hall of Fame in 2028 or 2029, whenever they set up that 5-year window. Again, guys, there's nonsense everywhere you go. Everything is nonsense. But then you become the guy who yells, "Get off my lawn." No, I'm not doing that. I'm going by what you're doing, and I'm analyzing what you're doing, and I'm going off that. Your analysis, your interpretations are dumb. Your comments are useless. It's not what's there. Explain it to me.
Sean?
Yeah, no, Gerald. I was just gonna say, it feels a lot like the 1990s, where everyone's just spending money, and I think Joe's right. Eventually, that faucet's gonna either be turned off or completely ripped off by circumstances surrounding the environment we're in financially. And he's right. Joe's right. I can't really add anything else to what he said, Joe. You can't really argue against anything Joe just said.
So here, Doris Burke deserves this, right? What does that mean? What does that mean in that title? What are you trying to tell me? What do you mean she deserves it? How many guys have been doing color for the last 20 years who don't have that job? They don't deserve it. There's 100,000 people that deserve it. Why does Doris Burke deserve it? Why? It's these hot words that people like to use to show support. How about just this? She's been doing the job. She was next in line. Not, she deserves this. She's great. Why are you saying it that way for Doris Burke? Why? If she looked like me, would you be saying that? No. I know your stink. I know what time it is. All of it. There's nothing you can do to trick me. I know exactly what's going on. And guess what? I will tell you what you're doing. And it's going to piss you off. And then you can call me whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. It's the truth. The truth is the truth. There's nothing you can do to combat it. So this is the stuff. I mean, we're talking about 100 different things here, right? And then I get this popped up on my phone, and there's this whole montage, and apparently Jeff Van Gundy is like, yeah, I got fired. And then you got Mark Jackson going, yeah, I got fired too. Like they're in this fake picture here, right? Fake. Everything's fake. And you wonder why people are going nuts. You're fake. You're all full of crap. You want your money, but you also want, what is it, the cake, and you want to eat it too. I still don't know what the hell that means. I still don't know what that. Marie Antoinette, you can. As soon as you said Marie Antoinette, I went out and started looking. I was like, I still don't get it. What does that even mean? I've gotten cake and eaten it too 100 times in my life. I don't know what that means. Alice, Dan Marino was what Patrick Mahomes was in the 80s. So imagine Patrick Mahomes' numbers now, but imagine in the 80s.
Kurt, Mark Jones is one of the most decorated and accomplished Canadian university basketball players of all time. And anybody and most fans out there who want to question and or qualify his expertise and
Is it
or
just
knowledge.
time for Mike Breen to go as well?
I think so. I think so.
He's sensational at his job. Okay, for everybody doesn't like Van Gundy, I get that. Mark Jackson, you know on this show I could not stand him after his missed call in Game 5 of the Lakers series, or excuse me, Game 6 of the Lakers series back in 2020. Ever since then, hand down, man down, he should be gone. I'm glad he's gone. Van Gundy, all right, he's gone too. Breen, he's been great at his job for over 15 years now doing finals. Is it time to go ahead and bring in Mark Jones? I think he does a sensational job as well. Is it time, Sean?
Yes, Gerald. I would say it's time. I would give Mark Jones the driver's seat there.
Mark Jones has been around for 30 years.
Mark and Paul Jones have been in broadcasting for a very long time.
So Doc Rivers is the question I have for you. Bringing Doc Rivers, the guy who was with Al Michaels there for trivia question, the .04. So I ask you, bringing Doc Rivers back, is that a smart idea by ESPN and ABC? Joe?
He was good when he was announcing.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to he could get hired again, but I think it's less likely that he will.
But he's already been hired, I thought.
I'm talking about hired as a coach again.
He means coaching. Yeah. I don't think so. I think this is the white towel. I think he understands there's a time and place, and normally when you go back to the booth like this, it's a transition, and there's no NBA team who would like Joe. He cannot explain his playoff ineptitude. He can't, man. He's got one playoff run under his belt. He cannot explain what's happened in an interview without it being like 4 hours. Well, this was the problem, and I had to deal with this, and I had to deal. I love Doc too. I love Doc as a man for his value system, but as a coach, not really. Not really. To me, his players won him that championship, and Tibbs helped him win that championship. He's a great leader and a great tactician offensively, but the flaws showed over the years, and I just don't think he deserves another coaching job.
Okay. I don't think so either. I think, if you run your course after so many times, I think you only have so many teams you can coach. There's actually some good coaches out there that are out without a job, and obviously some rising young assistants as well. So
Gerald, the three big ones he would have to explain seriously is how the hell did you lose to that Pistons team? You were up 3-1 on them. And by the way, you should have won it in 5 because you were up in the fourth quarter. What the hell happened? and then you blew a 3-1 series when you were with the Clippers, and then you decided to blow another one when you were with Philly. It was a trifecta. Like Gerald, would you say he's the most disappointing coach in playoff NBA history?
He's up there, but he does have a championship.
He does have a championship. You have to give him
that's
that.
the first thing he could throw at you there, Sean.
So does Doc Roberts or Dave Roberts, and he's abhorrent.
Joe, have
you've never told us that before, Joe. What a surprise!
What is the old saying? Dogs. The sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then. Whatever it is.
So what's this going on with the Detroit Tigers player that didn't want to come to the LA Dodgers? He was on the Dodgers were on his 10 no trade teams, and he decided to exercise that today.
No bueno.
My guess is he probably didn't want to go to LA. The actual city of LA is my guess. I don't know any inside info on this. Just I think he just didn't want to go to LA.
Are there any Dodger players who live in downtown LA?
Probably, because there are some nice lofts there. It's just that you share a lot of good property out there with dumpsters next door. However, California is starting to clean some things up. We're waiting for LA to be next. Oakland and San Diego did a huge cleanup here of the homeless this last week. The things are starting to change a little bit now. The homeless encampments need to stop. It's getting out of hand. Residents were getting. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna say it anymore.
No, I mean, but that's money well spent. I wish.
What do they say? You pay what you get what you pay for.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. All right.
I've been to downtown San Diego. Downtown San Diego's gone through a couple of shifts since I've been here. In the 90s, it wasn't a place you wanted to go. You didn't want to go downtown San Diego. It was dirty. Then it went into this renaissance where the high-rise condos were being built, got cleaned up. Everything was great. And then now it's sort of started going back, and you have a lot of yahoos who go down the streets and just yell and protest over nothing still. And then, of course, you have tents all over the place in certain areas, and they're finally like, this is enough. Enough is enough. We need to get out of here. I know if I was living down there. The other problem with living down there, too, now is too many people have dogs, and it smells like piss everywhere you go.
Man's best friend.
Yeah, what do you got against dogs, man?
I don't believe dogs should be in a concrete jungle. Dogs belong in homes and farm areas, not high rises. Because of what? I'll take if you want to come with me on Friday, I'll show you. It's not even the dirty parts of the city. It just smells like urine.
If I had a
grab your ticket, man.
Yeah, if I had a hovercraft right now, I'd take you up on that.
You have people who barely can take care of themselves, taking care of another being. And then on top of that, they don't provide any discipline for that animal so that they don't pee everywhere where people are walking.
Hey, I take a bag everywhere with me when I take my 2 dogs out. All right?
You can't bag urine, Sean.
Dogs. Hey, what's wrong with the side of the wall?
Don't have a dog living in a concrete jungle. Dogs don't belong. Then you got to hear, put paws on your paws.
What?
So they don't burn. Like it just, because the paws, they don't, the street will get hot.
Joe, responsible dog owners know.
There's no responsible dog owners. That's the problem.
You're looking at one of them. You're looking at one of them.
I'm not bagging on dogs. Okay, dogs don't know any better. It's the adult idiots that I'm talking about. Why do you have a dog in a high rise? I went to an elevator in a very nice condo high rise. It smelled like piss in the elevator. Oh, it's squeaky and squeegee. They're stressed. Oh, really? I mean, I can make a 2-hour movie on what I want to do to dog owners a lot of times that live in high rises like that. I mean, look, at the end of the, I look at like a crazy man right now. I'm not. It smells like urine everywhere. Why? And then if it's a hot day, you got to put booties on the dog. Is that not enough evidence that this dog does not belong here? Dogs belong in a field, a backyard like mine, in a farm. Like, that's where they become useful and can live within some kind of normalcy, not around asphalt, concrete everywhere you go, and elevators. Damn, I really veered off the thing here, didn't I?
Didn't you? Yeah, this is a basketball show, I thought.
You can't bag urine, Sean.
But you talked about it first. Entertainment is the key.
Yeah, so that is a line on the t-shirt now. You can't bag urine, Sean.
So beyond the dog thing, you go to Vegas. One of the reasons I hate Vegas is every time I go to the strip, it smells like weed. Yet, someone sees someone with a cigarette and they want to shoot him. Tell me that's not hypocritical.
Did you ever smoke?
I've done it a couple times.
Well, what do you care?
It's not the point. If you're there, if it's a family atmosphere, that's what they tell us. I don't want my kids walking around in a dust of weed.
You know what? If you're the kind of parent who knows that Vegas is like that,
and I don't shelter my kids, okay? They hear cuss words at school, and we talk about it, okay? I'm not like sitting there putting bubble wrap around my kids, okay? But come on, guys. We're walking around. It's freaking 4:00 in the evening. It's still light. You got these guys who don't even speak English passing out porn cards, and there's a bunch of potheads walking around to the crosswalk. You're telling me this is a good atmosphere for a family? Come on. Give me a break, guys. You guys are killing me with this stuff.
Gerald, do you have anything to add here?
He's just he sees what he wants to see, and
I don't see it. It's what's going on.
No, that's not true. That's not entirely true. That's one part. That's one part of the strip that you only see. There's so much more to Vegas that you actually don't even care to look at. And that's the thing. If I went to Temecula, you probably just show me the one restaurant that's there and the one gas station that's there and say, yeah, there you go. All right.
No, I'd probably take you to the wineries.
Yeah, you'll show. Oh, yeah, it's a rack of wine right there at the one grocery store that's still in Temecula.
You know what Temecula is turning into though? It's turning into a traffic hellhole.
Actually, I've actually spent time in Temecula, so I'm kidding when I say that.
It's so bad now. It was a little kept secret even 10 years ago. Now it's done. It took me 30 minutes to drive from my house to my warehouse. It's 9 miles away. So at some point here, I'm going to have to buy some kind of a place out in the middle of nowhere in Lake Tahoe and get away from everyone and just helicopter everywhere.
If you go to Summerlin and Henderson, it's all good. It's a nice area.
I didn't say anything bad about Henderson. I like Henderson. If I had to live in the Las Vegas area, I would move to Henderson. I actually like it.
Kurt follows up Joe's line. We've got a winner. We've got a winner. Kurt actually gets the line of the night.
Kurt, unfortunately, there is not an Arby's parking lot by the In-N-Out. It's actually a Wendy's. So you can park in the Wendy's parking lot to go to the In-N-Out. If you go to the Arby's parking lot here in Henderson, you can go to the Chick-fil-A a lot easier. So there you go. Absolutely.
Oh, Search lived in Canyon Lake? Oh, cool.
There you go. So
do a lot of work out there.
Yes.
So
I've been in Temecula quite on a couple of occasions, so I know exactly how good and how bad it is. But you're right about the traffic. The traffic is just that area, that freeway out there. Yeah, it's.
Oh, it was nothing when you were here. It's gotten worse the last 5 years.
No, when I go back to like San Diego,
they are expanding the freeway though, so we're hoping that it opens up things. But the problem is they keep building more houses here.
It's just going to just bring.
Yeah, it's going to turn into Orange County. We're going to live in Orange County in the freaking middle of nowhere.
It is an extension of Orange County. That's the way you. I've been going through Temecula at a very slow pace on more than one occasion in recent years because I go back to Cali so many times. But this conversation was still 1 hour 35 minutes in. You guys did a great job, especially the fact that you had a no-show. We'll try to go ahead again. Our goal is to get all 30 teams, to get previews, to get their thoughts not only on their own teams but also their thoughts on the Lakers this upcoming season, which I always think is it's a good perspective because we always have a tendency to see things from a closed environment as Lakers fans. It's always good to see exactly where other individuals, other fans of teams, or other experts of teams, how much they see or how well they see your team doing this year. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody again for showing up, even though the guests decided not to. As we said earlier, Gerald, this happens sometimes, and you just got to roll with it.
That's okay. I already fixed the description and already put a new picture in there. It's not like it's ever happened. It never happened. We never were meaning to have a guest who is, interested in the Miami Heat. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter if anybody shows up. Our crew shows up for us.
Yes.
And by the way, it's good to know now that if a troll does enter the castle, that if they come after me, they're gonna have to get through the audience, and then
what
they're
did
gonna
you say
have
to him?
get through Gerald and Joe.
Yeah.
No,
well, that's
no.
always, I guess.
Who's
Was the guy
criticized
a
Sean?
troll?
No one's ever criticized Sean or you.
He
Only
seemed like
me.
a reporter. He seemed like a reporter for a blogger. Does that?
Yeah,
who
no.
it was?
I'm talking about the previous day, Sunday.
Oh, that's like
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 times. We kicked people out 3 or 4 times. The 2 people that talked bad about
They're not really
David-
trolling.
no.
They're just being obnoxious.
No, he's yeah.
He insulted
that's true,
Magic.
Gerald. Yeah, he's.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just yes. This
But
guy.
later,
was,
you weren't here for this one. This one.
Yeah, no. You were.
What was he talking about?
He said, well, the truth is, he said that I look like an individual that, I'd be working at a drive-through with the headset. No, that's fine. That's
and I
actually
should
pretty.
be kept to like 100 yards away from a school or something.
Yeah, that was where I said, no, that's bad. That was just like, you're gone. That was, I'm done with you. Have a nice day. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. So there you go. But you know what? The chat room gets a big A+ for today from all of us because it is the best Lakers chat room that's out there. You get a big chat. For something that we were supposed to do on the fly, we had a lot of things that we got prepared for our guests today, and for whatever reason they decided not to show up, and which is a shame because again, we're very cordial to our guests. We appreciate the time, especially if they're from other teams. That's usually a very uncomfortable situation, and you know what? We're trying to be very accommodating, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. But I've got one for you on Friday. Steven from the Bird Rice podcast, he's coming back. He did such a great job on the CBA. I said, pick a team. I remember him liking the 76ers. I said, would you want to do a team preview of the 76ers? He said, sure. He's coming on down. So he's coming back on Friday. I know tomorrow we're going to do something more Laker related. So we got to think about something good to talk about when it comes to the Lakers tomorrow, guys. So that was the thing. I was going to go ahead and make sure that we have a full line of Lakers shows along with these NBA team previews as well. So we got plans for everyone out there.
It's going to get worse, guys, if we have a bigger audience. So just get ready. Especially, I'm hoping to combat. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody criticize you two.
The fact that I look like I'm about ready to take your order from a hamburger place. You and I both.
Don't
Joe,
we all look like that?
You and I, Joe, look like. Thank you for shopping at Arby's. Thank you.
Yeah, well, MagicMan
Why are you
looks
going
like
to In-N-Out? Why are you going over to In-N-Out? Come over here.
MagicMan looks like a guy that's at a game listening to the local broadcast.
Yeah. I mean, this is technology.
What was the name of that guy who grabbed the foul ball at the Cubs game? Steve
Bartman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bartman,
Yeah. Except for the hat. I don't like wearing hats.
if Moises Alou didn't react the way he did,
No
I
one
think
would
the
know who
Cubs.
Steve Bartman's name was. Yeah, you're right,
Thank you,
Joe.
Jamal. Appreciate it.
His
Much love to
reaction
you.
was what killed that team. I remember that.
Yeah, they were, Joe, and you're right. Like the way he reacted, it was so demonstrative. Like he had just like somebody had just been hit by a car or something.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, it's been a great conversation to be had. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Again, apologies for not being able to bring on our guest, but he didn't decided not to show up tonight. But I'm sure we'll think of something good for tomorrow, Laker related, so that you'll come back. We'll come back stronger than ever. Or hell, who knows? We talked about a lot of topics off the beaten path tonight, so we can do the same thing again for you tomorrow. It is that time of the year, guys and gals. It is August, the dog days of August, and the Lakers still have not filled out their last two spots on the roster. Very interesting.
Still waiting.
Still waiting. So is Christian Wood right now somewhere as well. So I try to be Adam. I try to be. So yeah.
Well,
I'm definitely.
We had one of our subscribers tell us he wouldn't be surprised if Christian Wood ended up in Europe. So.
Oh, can we talk about the toenail clipper who got arrested? Which LA Clipper got arrested?
Today?
Yeah, I guess apparently. I don't know.
Weird.
Who was it? Yeah, let me go ahead and look that up because it wasn't very much.
Amir Coffee.
Oh, Amir Coffee, yeah.
Like, Amir Coffee.
Well, he was arrested for carrying a concealed firearm.
Oh boy, in LA. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's.
Good luck with that.
Not a big. That's not a super big deal. That's something you can plea deal out of it, and just
when you look at someone, when you look like Amir Coffee and you're in LA, you might as well just not get out of your car, go in public at that point. It just sucks.
All right. Well, again, they're practically all fill-ins of Flipper line. That's something I definitely want to get somebody from the Clippers fan out here, or somebody that really enjoys the Clippers, because I'd really love to hear their thoughts on where they stand, because they've got. Remember this time last year, looked on paper like they were a stacked team. I had actually predicted them to go to the finals. And I'm glad I was wrong. And now I don't know. I'm currently just in the beginning processes of trying to figure out these NBA teams and where they stand. And I don't have the Clippers very high on the list, especially the fact that you don't know how much you're going to get out of PG and Kawhi. And now they're possibly already, talking to the office about trying to get an extension. Guys, there's all this talk about, the Clippers are moving to a new arena. They've got to have PG and Kawhi there. Really? Do you have to have PG and Kawhi there to sell out that arena? At least in the first year?
Are they there?
Yeah, exactly.
For what? So that they can play 40 games a year? No.
Yeah.
No. They're not there. And no one gives a crap about the Clippers anyways.
Alice, I got it. If I'm going to cover all the NBA teams, we got to do it for
they can move to Malibu for all I care. That still suck.
Yeah, I got to do it for every one of them.
And by the way, Inglewood is still a dump. So what do you want? There's SoFi, and then there's going to be the new arena, and then everything else around it's still a dump.
How do you think?
I still have love for the Forum, Joe, and that's
everyone has love for the Forum. The Forum was the sexiest arena that ever lived.
And the Sizzlers right across the street. I still love that Sizzler.
You got to take me to the Sizzle, Gerald.
Sizzler.
I said Sizzler.
I can't believe that place is still running.
That's good, man. There's one actually near.
The audience recommended I go, really Joe.
Too. Yes.
That and the Olive Garden. I cannot figure out how those two go. This have still stayed.
You don't like Olive Garden?
No.
Oh my God.
No.
Don't tell me you can't eat
the Zuppa Toscana is to die for, my friend.
To die.
Oh no, it's really good.
Do you have a problem with the cheese biscuits at Red Lobster?
No, those are the
If you
greatest.
do,
Those
all
are the
right,
greatest
yeah. So
biscuits ever made.
I was gonna say,
My
I would have
brother-in-law
to,
made
I
those
would
the
have
other
to
night. By the way,
like go through the
Yes, you could go to
ring.
Costco and buy a big box.
no,
Yes.
no, 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 no.
I make
That's
it
why I
Are they
don't
the
go.
real deal though?
That's why I don't go to Red Lobster anymore because of those biscuits. Because I'd eat 20 of them.
Well, but
I
they're
mean, hey, can I have
good.
some biscuits? Are you going to order,
Make-
sir?
Just
Yeah.
eat the biscuits.
I'm just letting my water settle.
But the thing is, I went there like during the pandemic, right? Back in 2020, we went there to get their pickup. So they gave us our order and they gave us a bag full of biscuits and they were all soggy. They had already
Oh.
actually greased in through and already had a hole through the bag. And I'm just like, what the heck are you doing here? So yeah, just ever since then we've been doing the Costco, make it ourselves those biscuits, and like you said, Joe, you eat like 20 of them. They're just
They
so
fall.
delicious.
They just
You put
melt.
little cheddar cheese on there.
Oh.
Yes.
I had some last week. It was fantastic. I hadn't had them in a while.
Yes.
It's good. No, good food's good food. I just don't.
I love that. That's a good thing, Kurt. You can't believe Joe doesn't like real, authentic Italian food like the Olive Garden tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. That's not real. Oh my god.
That's the line of the night.
my-
That's the line of the night right there.
Oh my god. My friends own
Yes, it is
a
Intel.
family restaurant that's Italian. They would have laughed their ass off at that comment, Kurt.
You ever gone to a real Italian restaurant?
Yes, all the time.
I have, yes.
The servings, it's just you can't eat everything there, man. It's just too much food.
No, it's what Jim Valvano said, Joe. It's like an Italian dinner. It's like you bring out the lasagna and the manigot first.
I bet
and
you
then-
wouldn't even say that Buga de Beppo is a
Oh yeah.
No, that's good. I just can't eat there all the time because it's just too much food.
You need to take
It is
breaks. You need to take breaks when you're eating with an Italian family. You need to take breaks because dinner is an event. It's not a meal. It's an event.
All right. Well, if the Lakers truly feel that Jaxson Hayes can start a line alongside Anthony Davis, I mean, they're trying to repeat 2020 if that's the case. I'm not sure in 2023 that's going to be the smart move, but we'll see if that's going to be the case. It didn't work last year with Damian Jones.
Well,
and Damian Jones
Amir,
not that far below Jaxson Hayes.
Amir Coffey should have set residence.
I agree with you, El Pollo Loco. I like El Pollo Loco.
In a bind, El Pollo Loco is good. Amir Coffey should have set a residence somewhere in San Bernardino or Riverside County, got a concealed carry, and you wouldn't have had to worry about carrying in LA.
It's a plea deal. It's a plea deal, and they'll just get him out.
And by the way, I don't blame him for having a weapon over there, even if it was illegal.
I don't blame him either. Yeah, but I'm skeptical of those Costco cheddar. They are. It is the formula.
It's a real deal. It's the real one.
It's the real deal. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
All right.
Exactly
Add
the
some
same.
cheddar cheese.
I'm
Just
going
add some
tomorrow.
cheddar cheese.
I'm
There you
going
go.
tomorrow.
All I need is I need McDonald's to make a bottle of their hot mustard sauce. I asked one of the ladies there when I went there a few years back. She looked at me like I was speaking French to her. And I just said, never mind.
What's the sauce that everybody goes crazy about when they introduce that Szechuan sauce or what? There's some sauce at McDonald's people go crazy for.
Mine is hot mustard sauce. The hot mustard sauce is like crack.
Is it the buffalo barbecue sauce?
No, I think it's Szechuan. There's some rare sauce that they have that only.
Yes, Samir, that's what I'm talking about at McDonald's.
Okay, but yeah, it's McDonald's. What are you gonna do? But guys, you want to go ahead?
Hey, their coffee is really good, Gerald. I'm a bit of a coffee snob, and I have to say,
all right,
they make really good coffee.
And I haven't gone there since the McRib went bye-bye, but I did see the billboard for their new frozen drinks, like the frozen Hawaiian Punch and frozen Coke. So Szechuan sauce, yeah, originally.
Do they still make?
Yeah,
those
it is a
Shamrock
Szechuan
shakes?
sauce. Thank you, Samir. Huh? The
Do they
Shamrock
still-
for March, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
They still
Okay.
do.
I haven't had one of those in like a really long time.
I'll tell you what, though, just great conversation about a variety of topics. This is what happens when your guest does a no-show. So we will go ahead and continue our efforts to
I
try and
think we
get.
could have had a show like this with a guest or not.
Yeah, that's true. We always end up doing anyway. So
Yeah, I think we're versed enough to do things here, so I'm not worried.
We play jazz here.
okay.
We can play
Absolutely.
jazz.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, great talking to everyone out there. Again, we're going to figure out what we're going to talk about tomorrow when it comes to the Lakers. And no, it will not be 1 hour of why Jaxson Hayes can or cannot play the five alongside. If that happens, I think that's not. I don't know. That doesn't seem to me like it's going to work out. That just means you have 3 non-shooters out there, and the lane is just going to be blocked. I mean, it worked in 2020 for you, but I don't think you can do that same thing in 2023. I just think that that's going to be a hard deal. Damian Jones, you saw how that worked out, and he's not a huge step below Jaxson Hayes at this point. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. But like, let's try and not relive that. I wouldn't even call it a nightmare, but it was like a bad dream of like not good backup center play.
Yeah. Whew. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us again. Like Kurt said, we did it all tonight. Male breastfeeding, big lots, urine bags, and some basketball. I was asking you guys must have heard about some good deals at Big Lots. I'm heading on there right now. Oh, they're closed. Oh, I can't. What a shame. What a shame indeed. But it is the Lakers Fast Break. Great to have you guys here. Truly appreciate it. Alice, you've been terrific. Obviously, Kurt, Blue Magic, the whole Samir, everyone out there has been just truly sensational. Intel, Adam, you are the best Lakers chat room that's out there, the Lakers Fast Break. You guys have a community tag now. You can talk about anything and we'll listen. We just need more people like you out there to listen, and we're going to be good. We're going to be good indeed. So, tell you what, looking forward to more great conversation. We'll strike it up with another conversation tomorrow. Maybe about Toscana soup. There you go. Zuppa Toscana soup. We're going to talk about that for an hour tomorrow. How about that? That's probably better than Jaxson Hayes at the 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot better than Jaxson Hayes at the 5.
Yes. All right. And MagicMan will tell us how those biscuits are from Costco.
Yeah. Because I'm just hearing about this now. This is.
You didn't know? They usually devote an end cap to it when they have it.
Hey, listen. That you've got apparently a very nice wine selection at Costco. They don't have wine up here at Costco.
What? They've got a whole third of their floor space devoted to alcohol here in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why.
Okay.
I've heard it. I've seen the pictures. It looks like a very nice selection. We just don't get it up here.
Yes. Well,
we get the nice things last if we get them at all.
All right. Goes without saying. This is about time for a Joe one-liner to send us on home.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for stopping by. Again, I'm going to have actually Steven from the Bird Rights podcast coming Friday to talk a little bit about what he thinks the Philadelphia 76ers do. Plus, we never even really talked to him about the Lakers. So want to definitely hear his thoughts on the Lakers, and we'll go ahead and make sure everybody out there gets a chance for that. And then also tomorrow, we got more great stuff. We'll figure out a Lakers topic to talk about. We'll make sure we got one for you. We'll prep it up. We'll knock it out of the park. And we'll make sure we got something good for you, because we always do, no matter if we have a guest or not, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.